Hey you guys, so in this video, I want to talk about spirituality specifically. Now, if you've been listening to my videos for any length of time, you know that I do not separate spirituality from humanness, okay? It's all integrated. When I talk about spirituality, I'm talking about higher consciousness. I am talking about stepping into your new identity. I'm talking about embracing your visions. To me, from my perspective, from what I have experienced, all of that is the same. All right. But I want to talk about spirituality from the standpoint of how you practice it. Okay. And what prompted this, first of all? Why am I talking about this? So, first, before I get into what prompted this, I want to remind you that your spirituality is personal. It is an inside job, all right? It is personal and it is an inside job. So, now, what prompted this conversation specifically? I heard, or what I've seen, is that a lot of people, when it comes to just different spiritual practices and how to practice connecting with your higher self and connecting with the infinite source, connecting with the universe, connecting with infinite intelligence, just your connection with the power that is greater than you but that you're connected to. The power is greater than you, but it's inside of you. All right, it's not separate from you. So there are different practices, that people use to connect with source. There's, candle work. There's all different. I won't get into the list of everything, but there are many different spiritual practices. And from those different practices, there are, spiritual teachers that emerge. Or there are people who talk about all things spiritual, but they don't necessarily call themselves spiritual teachers or even experts in spirituality. It's just people look to them for answers or for knowledge or information on all things spiritual. So hence, to their audience, that person has become, a teacher or an expert. And I heard, a person, again, this person does not call themselves a spiritual teacher, but, there was a question in a live stream that this person was doing, and someone asked this person about the significance of angel numbers, which can also be called angles, but we'll just, for simplicity in this video, we'll say angel numbers. And the person was saying, well, I feel like there's something to this because I keep seeing them, it keeps coming up. Well, this individual said, angel numbers were stupid and they were a distraction and they don't mean anything, and there's more to spirituality than numbers. And so that's what I want to address. Now, first, I don't want to say that the individual was wrong for saying that the numbers don't mean anything, because perhaps where that person is in their practice or in their consciousness level, maybe they don't need message. Maybe spirit, maybe source communicates with them differently, and they don't even use, and spirit does not use numbers to get this person's attention. Maybe messages are downloaded in other ways for this particular person. So from my perspective, what that individual should have said, well, for me, I don't gain anything from seeing those repeat patterns of numbers. Maybe before, maybe in the past they may have, but maybe not anymore. So perhaps that person could have worded the answer in that way. And the reason why that could be problematic in the way that the individual answered the question is because for the person that asked the question, perhaps that person is just now starting to recognize that he or she is more than what they see in the mirror. And perhaps that person has been connecting with source, connecting with their higher self, and just saying, I just need something here to just let me know that I'm on the right path. I need something to let me know that you hear me or I'm communicating with you. And at this particular moment in that person's practice, the universe is using those angles or those angel numbers to say, okay, here's a wink. I'm here. You have my attention. You've always had my attention. You have connected. We are connecting. I am communicating with you. But for that person, now that that person has heard, well, angel numbers don't mean anything, now that person there's a risk of that person dismissing that message from the universe because now they've heard this person that they call an expert. They've heard that person say, well, angel, those numbers don't mean anything. And that's where it can be problematic. And this is why I'm bringing up this video. This is why I want to emphasize that your spiritual practice, the way that you receive messages, it is personal. You don't need to go around doing a survey asking anyone, okay, this is what I'm seeing. Does this mean anything? If it means something to you, if it gets your attention, then it means something to you. Do you understand? So, again, why is this important to know this? Because it keeps you from making comparisons in your spirituality versus someone else. Because when you make comparisons, then you run the risk of saying, well, am I not practicing correctly? Do I need to be on a higher level spiritually? Am I doing something wrong? Am I not saying the right words? Am I not saying the right affirmations? Am I not praying correctly? Am I not lighting the right candle on the right day at the right time when the moon is full? You see all these different conditions. It causes you to put conditions into your spirituality when you make those comparisons, which is why, again, I'm going to keep saying this over and over again intentionally, which is why your spirituality is an inside job. It is personal, all right? Also, it's important to know that your spirituality is a personal journey. It's because it keeps you connected to your intuition. It keeps you connected to your discernment. It increases. Perhaps you've never used your discernment in the past. Now using discernment is new for you. So it increases your discernment, which in turn helps you to keep your power. So for example, going back to that viewer's question about whether angel numbers mean something or not, if that individual was connected to their intuition and they were just simply asking just to get the person's opinion, not that they were applying that person's opinion, but that person could have given their opinion just as they did, saying angel numbers don't mean anything, and the viewer could have said, well, it may not mean anything to you, but it means something to me. Just curious to hear your perspective. When you are connected to your intuition, You can actually, go ask spiritual leaders or spiritual teachers certain questions. You'll get answers, but you'll know what part of the answer is for you and the other part that you need to leave alone. Just because a person is a spiritual teacher or a spiritual expert does not mean that you have to take all. Doesn't mean that you have to force what they're saying to apply to you. You already know. Your intuition, your discernment will help you determine what resonates and what does not. Okay? It helps. So I want to address this point about spiritual teachers. The purpose of a spiritual teacher, the purpose of, spiritualists, experts, if a person is talking about spirituality, their only purpose is to help guide you to self-empowerment, nothing else. If any part of their message sounds like dependence on something outside of themselves, whether it's that spiritual teacher themselves or just something outside of themselves, that is a red flag. Any person who is responsible when they talk about things spiritual, they need to put an emphasis on self-empowerment, period. All right? So what can happen without discernment is people becoming dependent upon spiritual teachers and spiritual experts. And it's also the responsibility of the spiritual teacher to realize if a person in their community has become dependent upon them. All right? And to address it accordingly. So, little side note there. Also, it's important to keep at the front of your mind when you are practicing your spirituality day to day, moment to moment, is that there are many different ways that your spiritual guides, whether you understand that to be the universe, whether you understand that to, you can say God. I personally use other words because for me, the term God seems to be limited. That's my perspective. Okay. So, but anyway, whether you determine your spiritual guides to be your benevolent ancestors, your benevolent angels, the universe, higher source, higher power, there are infinite ways that you will be sent messages. Okay? You yourself are a channel to receive messages for yourself and other people. So you don't need to go around asking anyone, well, I saw, I was, praying or asking the universe for guidance, and this is what I saw later on in the day. What do you think it means? You don't need to do that. And what can also happen is the universe will actually send you someone that will say something to you, and 9 times out of 10, it's only going to confirm what you already know. It's going to confirm what you've already seen. So you'll know when a message is for you. So I just wanted to come through with this video just to remind all of you that your spiritual practice is an inside job. It is personal. All right? So trust the guidance that you're receiving. Trust the messages that you're receiving. Trust the symbols that keep coming up. And even if you don't know what they mean, again, get quiet and ask out loud. What does this mean? The universe will give you a message. The universe will send someone to you, again, to confirm what you already know. All right? Someone that you can trust to tell you what you already know. All right, so if you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments section. Also, don't forget that I do one-on-one sessions, transformative sessions, for the sole purpose of getting you to return and reconnect with that power source within you. All right, the link to schedule an appointment is in the description box. Thank you for tuning in, and I do see some new subscribers here. Thank you so much. I love seeing new subscribers. All right, so don't forget to like this video, and until next time, cheers.